All right, welcome back to the Main Beam Podcast. I'm Landon Stockman. I'm going to be one of your hosts. Today is January the 21st, and this is going to be episode 9.
Yeah,
So,
finally getting over the big cold front we had, pushed through. It's starting to warm up a little bit. Things have been froze up for a while now.
Still pretty dang windy, though.
Yeah, I know.
it's been pretty nasty out.
Yeah, and then next week, it gets into the 40s and rain.
Yeah.
I'm kind of eager to get there after, like, -5 and
That's-
just hoping my pipes don't freeze for the last couple weeks.
My truck's been sitting in the driveway for like 2 weeks now because it doesn't like the weather.
It's all sledged up. Yeah.
I'm just ready to start finding sheds.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I
No
picked
kidding.
2 up so far this year, just checking cameras.
And I picked one looking at some property. Hopefully my wife and I are going to be buying a property here soon. And it was probably like a 65-inch, 5-point.
Yeah, it was
that
pretty
we
nice
found.
shed.
Yeah. It had already gotten chewed up, had a wax ring on it, but all 5 tips had gotten nibbles on it from squirrels. So,
Dude, our
What
squirrel,
a shame.
so, yeah, if we buy this place, we got to whip out the 410s and get to work on some squirrels in there.
12 gauge. We'll blow them away.
Yeah, that too, I guess.
Blow all
this-
the nests out of the tree.
Yeah.
the squirrels
dude.
we got around here will literally gnaw horns down in like no time.
Yeah, so
What a
we're,
shame.
it'll be exciting to get out there. I think another week, and we'll probably have more bucks with bald heads.
Yeah, we'll probably start walking some public in the next 2 weeks, probably.
We need to go back to the
Oh, we're going back
You
to
know
the
that
spot.
spot.
To
The
the
spot.
secret spot.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's where we got to go.
All right. Well, we're sitting here today with probably one of the biggest deer killed in Missouri this year. Sitting here with the Skull Cap and Cole McBride. He's coming on from McBride Land Solutions to tell us the story of how he killed this deer. And it is impressive, to say the least. All the character on it, and for sure a deer of a lifetime.
Appreciate you guys having me on. Pretty cool opportunity, and like you said, just a once in a lifetime deer. I mean, you don't ever get to see deer like this in southern Missouri. Just unheard of.
You rarely see deer like that in northern Missouri.
I was going to say, I mean, just the area that he come from it's impressive because, you know, northern Missouri and even the central part of the state's got crop and, you know, CRP and different fingers and stuff. But you start getting down in the Ozarks and South Missouri, and you know, you get them acorn deer. It's tough to grow them that big down there. So it's definitely an impressive deer.
Yeah, and just I mean, like you said, the terrain difference. I mean, just from Lebanon to here to Jeff City. I mean, it's night and day. I mean, you can see a lot further here. You can't see anything back home. You know, it's all hills and hollers and hay fields, no crop. Just like you said, acorn deer is all it is.
What was the closest crop? Do you know?
No, I mean, we had corn down on our bottom, but they cut that for silage. So, you know,
That's
that
a
doesn't
shame.
benefit.
I know what that's
anything.
like.
So,
I think the coolest thing, I guess, before we really get into it, we'll have you go back kind of how you got into hunting and maybe a little family history if your parents hunted and different stuff. But I think the coolest thing was you had someone lay it all down on the footage all down too, so you got a whole story of it.
yeah, absolutely. Connor, my buddy Connor, that's what he does for a living. He works for a company called Slate and Glass, and he's been working for them for 5 or 6 years now, a while. But he's a wizard with the camera.
Yeah,
So
yeah, dude. I guess before we really start, if anyone wants to go check out the video, it's on the road.
The Road Outdoors, yeah.
The
on
Road
YouTube.
Outdoors.
Yep.
Super cool video. Very well put together, and I shared it myself. I don't usually share a whole lot of other people's stuff, but whenever I seen it, I was like, yeah, that's like top of the line.
That's what I was trying to look up right then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good cover.
Connor has some good stuff. I mean, the dude, like I said, he's a wizard with the camera. That's his bread and butter. And
He killed a deer himself this year too, didn't
yeah, he did. He killed it on some public land there.
Hell yeah.
With his muzzleloader. Yeah, good deer, really good deer. One of the bigger bodied deer that I've seen in a long time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
I promise too that for anyone out there that goes to watch the video, they're gonna watch it more than once.
Oh yeah, I've watched it 3
I watched
times
it,
myself.
yeah.
And I mean, the cool thing, I mean, have that forever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I get chills just every time I watch it. You know,
Oh yeah.
it's crazy to relive it, and you find something new. You know, because all that happens so fast.
Mhm.
and you walk through, you're like, I don't even remember doing that.
Yeah.
You know, you're so amped up, so much going on, but just to
That's
have that in the memory bank forever.
Kind of what got us into video to start with. And we always said if it went nowhere, we were still going to video and everything just for the fact of having it.
Yeah,
how cool
exactly.
it was.
Oh, yeah.
To look back on and be like, oh, look at this hunt.
Well, and, you know, and there's always rumors, you know, people don't believe you, don't believe this. Well, here's your proof, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, you shot that over corn, you know, blah, 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 you know. Here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the whole thing for the last 2
You know,
years.
there's that just, yeah, literally.
So, well, take us back to kind of how you got into hunting and maybe a little history of some past deer and different stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up hunting family. That's what my dad did growing up. Big bow hunter. That's what he did as a teenager, you know. And so basically, I grew into that. I remember, you know, 4 or 5 years old, I'd go and just sit with him before I could even hunt. He'd bring, you know, a whole bag of hot hands. We'd sit there. I'd freeze half to death. And whenever I was 5, he killed one of his biggest deer. I was sitting right there with him. I was actually kind of sleeping.
Oh, that's cool.
We were sitting on the ground, and this buck comes up on this ridge. Anyways, well, I see him raise his gun up, you know, and he doesn't say anything to me. He thinks I'm sleeping. Go, whoom.
Hold your ears, son.
Yeah. Didn't even tell me to plug my ears, but
This
yeah.
is a big deer. I don't care if you can hear it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but he's a guy that started it all. But I mean, I killed my first deer when I was 6, first turkey when I was 7. Killed my first deer with a bow whenever I was 7. Crazy young.
Oh,
looking back.
wow.
Never forget it. You know, September 15th, we go in there. He hangs this set, little double set, 7 years old, tiny. You know, worked all summer to pull back 35 pounds or whatever it was that I needed to get to be able to kill a deer. And shoot, we didn't sit there 15 minutes. And here comes these 3 does, and they come in there just 10 yards, whacker.
Are you hunting
That's
over
how it all
a food
started.
source or anything?
Nope,
or
just ate. I mean, in the woods. in
Is
Denver.
it still all on that same family farm?
No,
Or is this
no.
a different
that,
farm?
Yeah, that was a different farm. That was one of my dad's really good friends.
Really?
And that's where I ended up killing my first everything: deer, turkey, you name it.
Nice.
So,
That's awesome.
but yeah, always been around it, and
Are you still a September bow hunter?
sadly,
Oh, are you? Yeah.
I tell myself I'm
love
not
it.
going to hunt September because it's 95 degrees. I
Right.
hate sweating. I hate mosquitoes.
Oh, yeah.
But I always have a deer, you know, that's
Yep.
like right there borderline. Like I can maybe kill him, you know, and you just keep out there. Next thing you know, you're like, why am I hunting September?
Yeah.
You're
Because
sweating.
then you have, you know, your 30 sits in November. And it's,
Yeah. It can
it
wear
gets
on
to
you
be
a lot.
grind whenever you hunt
Yeah.
that hard that early, and then you're, you know, late October, early
Mm-hmm.
November. I mean, that's the best time, and by then you're just like, gosh,
We say
Kinda
the
wore
same
out.
thing. We say the same thing every year, but I feel like it's property depending. Like
Yeah.
we run cameras super hard, and in September there's some properties where we don't really have any deer to hunt September, so we're definitely not going in there. We might go and kill a doe or two, but it's not really worth going in for. And then we have another property that's like September is maybe the best time to get in there and kill that deer.
A lot of it's deer depending. I mean, look at curls. If you don't kill them the first fucking 1 second a season, you're done.
Yeah. Yeah. That was miserable.
yeah, that and
Tragic.
the land you're hunting. You know, I mean, if
Yeah.
you have a 100-acre bean field, why you ought to be out there.
Yeah,
15, You
yeah.
know, I mean.
No, yeah. for
But like I
sure.
said, I mean, we don't have that. I mean, we plant our own food plots and stuff like that, but
Pray for rain.
literally.
Oh, yeah. Pray
We
for good
plant-
acorn crop,
yeah,
really.
I mean, last year we planted in 7 weeks, no rain.
Yeah, that's what we did. We planted twice last year and still didn't get.
yeah.
I mean,
somehow Spencer's food plot still came up about the biggest food plot I've ever seen.
I think the only rain that rained in the state last year rained on top of Spencer's food plot, and that was it.
Yeah.
God was trying to help him out all he
Yeah.
could. It just didn't work.
Yeah. Well, no. So I guess let's get into kind of the first time you seen the deer. I guess whether that's trail cam picture or kind of the first encounter you had with him, or the first as soon as you knew he was the deer you were going to be hunting.
Yeah, so it had been 2 seasons ago. I'd actually just killed a buck on October the 13th. I killed it at one of our other farms, and it was my biggest buck with the bow. I killed just a solid 10-pointer.
What did that score?
He went 140 on the money.
And then you shot. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Big deer.
I shoot a 140, 150 every year. To,
Yeah.
you know,
Hell yeah.
Oh,
and
I do.
not 2 days later.
He
shows up on the cell cam on a scrape, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Obviously Missouri, you get one tag for rifle. So it was like October 16th he shows up, and I have to wait till gun season. And I'm just sitting there getting pictures of this deer every day. My dad and my brother out there hunting him, I'm like, that would do to go back 3 days. You hate to complain about shooting 140-inch deer.
Right.
But he showed up, and I mean, he's probably 170-inch deer, same drop tine, same flyers, just something we'd never seen. I was like, holy cow, you just don't ever see deer like that. But I didn't have one daylight picture of him that year.
Really?
And he stayed till the end of season. And obviously once rifle season came around, I hunted hard.
Yeah.
I was hunting every day, hunted late, and had pictures of him every day, every night. So I don't know if he was just traveling far just to come feed at night or what. But
did anyone ever have any encounter, like brother, dad? No one seen him at all?
Nobody saw him at all.
Really?
I was me and Connor and I were the only people that ever saw that deer alive.
Oh, wow.
So basically, flip to the next year. Always in the back of my head, I'm like, man, is this just a one-time thing? He's going to show up, I'll have him and never see him again, or what? Because he didn't summer on us, No
one found the sheds
summer.
off of him that you know of either?
No. He left like January 18th, 20th. Like 3 days after season ends, just gone, poof.
That's crazy.
Because I kept running camera. I run my cameras year-round.
Yeah.
Just leave them running.
Cell cams?
Yeah, I run the reveals.
Hell, yeah.
So. But yeah,
Have you ever talked to your neighbors around to see if anyone had ever found the sheds, or?
We really don't have a handful of the way my farm sets up. It's kind of a corner piece. It's kind of weird right along the river.
You don't have to say anything else.
Yeah. That's it. It's just
So, but we don't. We
Cut it
don't
off there. We'll tell them after.
We don't really have to. We don't really have to deal with neighbors. I know the buck I started out hunting this year. I'm sure you guys saw him in the videos. That big, gnarly little 9-pointer. I talked to the people that killed him. They killed him 2 miles down the road.
Wow. Really?
So, and they had never seen the deer I killed.
It really is impressive how far some of the deer travel, especially in the crop areas. But I couldn't imagine down there kind of how far they travel to eat. I bet you out there somewhere someone's got another picture or a shed off that deer, whether it's 8 miles away or however far. I'd love to know if someone did have
it. Might just be a matter of time.
Right. Yeah. And I was hoping something would surface. I'd love some velvet pictures of that deer. Just he'd just look insane.
Oh.
And just to know where he came from, you always want where'd he come from? Because he just show up and it's like, poof, I'm here.
I'm amazed that typically killing a deer of that caliber, that someone
something always comes up.
Usually deer like that don't go unheard of.
No.
Yeah.
No, especially this day and age, everybody's running a cell cam or a normal SD card pull camera. There's got to be very, very few deer out there of, call it 160 plus that someone doesn't have a picture of.
Yeah, and that stuff spreads like wildfire. I did a good job, Connor and I. We didn't hardly tell anybody. I told 5 people, maybe, and they didn't tell anybody. Not very many people knew about that deer.
Yeah, that's not a deer you go telling people you're hunting. No. That's for sure.
This one.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we are. We don't really release a whole lot of pictures until the deer's dead or we know someone else that killed the deer.
Yeah, we won't ever post any trail camera pictures on social media unless the deer's dead, just because.
Well, you just can't trust anybody.
No, you can't. And, it's not so much as someone's going to come in and just hunt your farm or poach it, but, man, the amount of money that gets thrown around these days and buying places and, someone kills a big deer here and the farm next to it, someone's offering, X amount of dollars to lease.
Especially if you have a lease,
Yeah, it's best to kind of be hush-hush about a lot of it.
Oh, it's getting out of sight anymore, even for leases and everything. If there's word that there's big deer around or anything, these guys coming from big cities and paying.
Big cities, big money.
Yep.
And you can't hardly compete with it.
No, you can't. Not at all.
And then you got us, broke deer hunters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the deer, you don't find any sheds off of it. Going into the summer, are you expecting to get summer pictures of him, or are you kind of expecting he's going to show up again in October?
I'm hoping he's going to show up again in October. But so a lot of stuff went down that summer. We tripled our food. I went from 12 acres of food plots to 40.
Wow.
Dang.
And like I said, we finally got to a place where we had some time and had the money to be able to put all that in the ground. And that's a lot of effort that goes. 40 acres worth of plot, and a lot of work that goes there. And like you said,
no
you
doubt.
plant and then you pray for rain and you don't get it for 7 weeks. It's like, gosh. But we planted them. We planted them about a month earlier than was recommended.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because that was the only time that we were going to get rain, and it worked out. I mean, our plots this year were awesome, knee high.
What time of year did you? July?
Yes, it would have been like that last week of July there, early August.
That's kind of what we're thinking. We usually don't plant till mid-August.
I was going to say, I'm starting to lean a lot towards, well, Jared and Jeremy from Hunter Podcast, they literally plant everything the end of July. I guess I don't really know why.
That's what we're doing this year.
They plant all their stuff for tonnage, I think is what it is, because it maximizes the growth of it. Versus, I know whatever Mark and Terry talk a lot about planting, whether it's September 1st to get that tender green for like early season sometimes. But I know, you planted
August 6th.
Was it August 6th? I mean, still right there close to July, and your shit was so big they wouldn't even eat it early.
Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah.
They thought it was bedded in a bag.
But yeah, I mean, in planting that early, I mean, like you said, we planted winter oats. I mean, they headed out.
Really?
They headed out, that's how quick everything was growing. And the way I see it, if you plant that early, and I remember one year we had these bugs come through the farm. I don't know what kind of bugs they were.
Oh, army worms?
Army worms.
Yep.
Wiped it out, and if you plant them that early and that happens, I mean, you still have time to replant at least, or if something doesn't take, you have a little bit of time, a little buffer to.
Army worms there's, I guess it's a moth larva or something. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but they'll wipe out like a standing bean field or like a food plot so quick at night. They're so loud you can hear them eating it.
It's amazing too if you've ever seen one. They're only like an inch or two long. Not very big, and
they will literally eat like a 40-acre bean field in
Look this up.
3 days.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It's
Connor was filming me. I was like, "Yeah, we'll go back to this plot. It looks awesome, dude." It did. It looked great. And I hadn't seen it in 3 or 4 days. We go back there and it's like dirt. I'm like, "What? What's going on here?" And it's just, they literally ate it to the dirt.
They will in a matter of
days.
It's days.
Like I said, it'd been days since I'd been there, since it looked perfect, and then we go in there to hunt. I'm like, what happened here?
Yeah, I'm not sure too. Well, a key sign is whenever you got cell cams out and you start getting pictures of a lot of crows and stuff in the field.
That's
They're
when
down there eating army worms. That happened to.
That's what happened to Max's farm. Max had, you could see on the trail camera, day and night difference, like the food plot, and one day would start here and then he looked at the next and he was like, what
the growth?
Is it like a moth that lays eggs and then they eat real quick, or like how does that
I don't really know all
really
of how
sure.
it works.
It's a big southern thing. They have it a lot down south, I think.
But I feel like I don't know where they start, but I feel like you don't really hear from them year to year. It was just like
it was a weird random.
Like I don't know if it's like the cicadas where they're like a 7-year cicada, whatever.
Yeah,
if it's all of a sudden like this is the year that they're
they made
it is a moth and it lays eggs. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Should I lay out the Latin name? Just kidding, I'll butcher it.
El moth.
Yeah. That's funny. Oh man.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. That's also just tragic. Those are real things.
Yeah,
okay, great.
Is. But yeah, anyways, so like I said, we planted 40 acres worth of plots this year. And it was incredible just to see that. It changed the whole farm. We've had that farm since 2012, and just the amount of deer that showed up this year, it's crazy. You see how all these people on TV kill big deer whenever you have it set up like that, food and bedding, and nobody else has it around you.
It's magical.
It's like cheating.
Yeah.
No. You put in the work, but it's crazy. You just deer do deer stuff. They act like normal deer, not where your neighbor's over there feeding them corn, and
Yep.
you're not competing with that, and it just pulls. I would love to know how far deer are coming right now, because with this cold spell, we have all the food around.
I bet you got some serious deer right now.
Oh yeah, right? It's crazy, and you think like, man, if this front would have hit, early middle December, when you have that muzzleloader tag, it's like
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
You get
It
tore
gets you
up.
excited, for next year for whenever it does happen.
That's
But
what-
even now, if you stay out of there, just imagine the amount of shed antlers.
Oh yeah,
are
yeah.
gonna be laying
My
around.
brother and I have been talking. We're stoked. I've already had a handful of deer that have shed already.
Nice.
There's a lot of bucks in there right now, and it's cool to see, and it's fun to put into that work all summer long, and then you see the benefits in the end. I've came to enjoy that side of things more than actually just shooting the deer. Just making that piece of land the best property that it can be for all sorts of wildlife. I mean, we have deer, turkey, quail down there, and just sculpting it and seeing how it changes the farm. You put a different plot over here. Well, the deer aren't going to use this road anymore. They're going to it's like hunting a new place, but it's the same place.
That's what we really enjoy, or I've gained to really enjoy over the years, is not just the fact that hunting season's over with, we're just going to wait till next year. It's like getting to work, and I enjoy just as much putting work in for deer as I do
the growing process.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, growing the deer from, well, I guess whether you even know the deer from, fucking 2 to 6 or however old, or, just putting into the work to see you will see a difference in, deer, whatever, this age to this age, just by, the bedding you put in, the food you put in, you're going to see,
Yeah, and that's
results.
that's how those stories start. You catch a 2.5-year-old deer, and you watch him, and he lives on your farm. He stays there. Your neighbors don't shoot him. I mean, then he blows up, and it's like you grew that.
Then
deer.
he turns into that.
Yeah, and it's like you grew that deer. I mean, it's just rewarding.
it's the work doesn't just happen overnight. I mean,
No.
to create different bedding. I mean, you can go make a new food plot and plant it this year, and it's great, but making bedding and the whole farm better as a whole takes a few years of work to really see the
Oh yeah,
key results of
it's
it.
just like our farm. I mean, we're working on cutting 40 acres worth of cedars right now.
Yep.
I mean, there's no other way to do that than with a chainsaw.
Yep.
Sorry,
100%.
but I mean, you want to talk about some work? You getting cedars where you can't hardly walk.
Yeah, no kidding. And one really warm fire one day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We cut our cedars with a chainsaw, but Adam uses a hatchet. That's all we give him.
That's right. Little 12-inch long
That's how he
hatchet.
got them arms.
Yeah, that's right.
Lumberjack.
So you guys got your farm all set up this year, and the anticipation for this deer to show up must be like extremely high. I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, October rolls around. I'm like, all right.
So no velvet pictures, right?
No
Nothing.
velvet. I was
Although
chasing
you
that
got
big deer.
some velvet, right?
Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
a little bit of
You got a
velvet
little
still.
left.
So did you have, if he didn't show up, did you have another deer in mind that you were going to target this year?
Yeah, I started out hunting that big tall 9-pointer, like
Yep.
I said, and then but he ended up leaving there.
Fucking clock.
But he ended up leaving the farm like middle to late October.
Really?
Just up and left, and I had an idea where he was and went in there and hunted him some, but long story short, he was all the way 2 miles away.
Yeah.
I wasn't anywhere close to him. But
Probably because this deer came in and
yeah, that was the thing about the time he left.
He should.
I checked my cameras one day and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The first trail cam I checked, it was just a regular camera. Because
Oh, yeah.
I have like 10 cell cams on the farm and then 5 or 6 other just regular cams.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was on video mode and it was over a scrape. And
Oh my.
I could not believe it. I called Connor. I'm like, dude,
He's here.
he
He's
is-
here.
He's back and he is giant.
get that camera fired up.
Yeah,
and over
I was
here.
like, I think he's like 180. No, I mean, he's huge. I'm like, he might be 200. Connor's like, what? Just send me a picture, One night, showed up one night and left for a week.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he shows up one night, and so obviously I'm like, game on. Let's start hunting.
Yeah.
Hunt that whole week. No pictures, no nothing. I'm like, what's going on? And it was just middle of the night. He showed up like 2 a.m. Worked all the scrapes. I had my cameras on, and then just left for another week. And I'm like,
I would love to know, how a deer moves, or we were talking earlier, how far they travel. In that week's time, that deer possibly never even left your farm. They're just so elusive and the way they move and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally possible.
And when you think about it, a trail camera really only picks up a very small portion of
oh yeah,
the whole area. I've seen plenty of deer that that we hardly get on trail camera or see very often, and lay eyes on him one time and no trail cam picture of him. Like he's within 40 yards of the trail camera, but
you have
no picture.
you have to be the trail cam.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got to be out there. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've watched deer walk right behind my trail cam.
Trail camera.
That's
such a great point. You have to be the trail camera. Like that's.
Yeah, you have to be out there because,
Yeah.
like you said, I mean, it picks up such a small frame.
Trail cameras are a great tool to. I mean, when you do get a picture,
I mean,
it's letting
they're
you know
game changing.
No, they are.
Like, yeah.
But they're not all the way, reliable all the time.
Yeah, you can't just go off him.
No.
You're like, oh, he's not daylight. He's in there at dark.
Yeah.
You don't know that.
No, I know.
That's just what your camera's telling you.
I know plenty of people are like, oh, he ain't got nothing on camera. Or, he ain't been showing up, and I'm like,
Maybe your camera's in the wrong spot.
he could easily be
Yeah.
right behind it. Like I said, the deer that I ended up killing this year, me and Brady saw him literally walk basically right behind the camera, no picture, broad daylight.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have just went and pulled the card and not hunted, I'd been like, I don't know, he's not showing up. I don't know where he's at. Hell, he walked right by.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kudos to you for actually hunting that whole week.
Yeah, hunted that whole week. I mean, as soon as he showed up and obviously running your own business and stuff, you get a little bit flexible. My dad covered some hours for me. He knew how bad I wanted to kill this deer. But I mean, and I ended up killing that deer because I got him on cell cam too.
Yeah.
I knew where he was that afternoon I killed him. I had him that morning going back to bed. Knew right where he was. And had I not had that cell cam,
Yeah,
I don't know that I would have sat there.
sat there.
So it can be a game changer, like you guys said too. But yeah, he left for a week and I hunted that whole week. I'm trying to think here. That would have been youth season weekend. So
Yeah.
I had two little cousins. They were down, and I'm like,
Stay off, little bastard.
yeah. I'm like, they both killed their bucks too. Really, one was 153. Another
Really?
another
wow.
great deer. But yeah, talk about a little bit nerve wracking. I'm like, gosh.
Yeah, that'll shake you up a little bit.
So-
Imagine. Was it their first deer?
One of them it was, yeah.
Really?
One of them is their first deer, and my other little cousin, it was his second or third deer. So.
Oh, that's cool. Really
But they live up in Kansas City. They come down every deer season, And
Did you tell him about the deer?
after they left, after they killed their deer, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a nice one you killed, but check this one out.
yeah. So after they left, I told everybody about the deer. So
Yeah.
But then finally, after they left, he showed back up that week, and he didn't get on my cell cams for probably close to a week.
Really?
It was weird. So I don't know. Sometimes I think those cell cams
Yeah.
mess with deer.
That's kind of what we were saying. I run a lot of Reconics. I don't have Reconic cells. I run the reveals, but I've just been running Reconics over the years because, like you said, we run our cameras year round, and I've ran just about every camera out there, and half of them last a year, and they don't take pictures anymore. Or something goes wrong, and I can't trust them, and I just kind of started moving to Reconics, and I don't know how many times we've had a Reconics and then a cell cam, and never have really any pictures on the cell cam, and I'll go pull the card on Reconics, and they'll be on there like a lot. And I'm like, holy smokes.
I don't know if they give off some sort of signal or what, but like I said, me and Connor, when we were hunting, we would watch deer walk right behind the cell cam. I mean,
Really?
They knew it was there, and every time I'd move them, I'd move my cameras, I'd get pictures for that night.
Yeah, and then they
It'd trick them, they're like, oh, yep, and then next thing you know, they're going around it. But then there's deer that just didn't care.
Didn't care.
Yeah, I think it's all kind of deer depending too.
Yeah, they all have, all different personalities, but there's something going on there, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened to us in Iowa this year with Dirk. We had this deer we'd call Dirk, and we'd get pictures of him almost like, I don't know, 2 or 3 nights in a row, and then it was like vanished, and I was like, what?
Yeah, and
so then we'd move the camera
and it'd be
slightly,
the same time.
and it would be like the next night, boom, 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 and then it'd be like vanished, and it's like, all right.
Part of it may have been whatever. I guess us going in there to move it and stuff, but
No, it very well could have been.
I have to believe a lot of it is they pick up on that frequency.
There's definitely something.
Yes, there's something to them, and like you said, there's a lot of deer that just don't care. I mean,
Yeah, I have some deer that I wish would get off my trail camera because they keep running up the numbers and I got to go through them.
Yeah.
But I think there definitely is something to it.
Yeah, that's how that big 9-pointer I started out hunting was. He hated the cameras.
Was it on video mode?
No.
So up to this point, still no daylight pictures.
Still no daylight pictures. So, I mean, we're getting into like the first week in November now. And yeah, I mean, it's that time.
Rifle season's coming around.
Yeah, I'm like, I got to get this deer killed. Got to get him killed. And Connor and I hunt hard all that week. If I remember correctly, it got pretty cold. There was a good little front there that first week in November. And I'm trying to think here. It would have been on the 8th or 9th. I've got my first daylight picture of him, finally. It was a morning out in the middle of a food plot. I was sitting about 200 yards from him.
Ooh.
So got a picture of him. Like, well, he moves in the daylight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first picture in 2 years, you know.
Yeah, and another
picture.
piece to the puzzle for sure.
And so, we hunted out of the saddles this year, which was awesome.
So the saddle thing is interesting to me because Adam, you hunt out of a saddle quite a bit.
Yeah,
now, I talked major shit on saddles for so long. And until this year at ATA, when we went up to see you at the cruiser booth, and Tristan was like, "Oh, you got to sit in one of these. You got to sit in one." I'm like, all right, well, yeah, sure, we'll try it, dude. I'm buying one.
You can fall asleep
game
in
changer.
that thing.
Game changer.
I mean, it's comfortable.
And not only is it comfortable, but the versatility.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't set the same tree like ever this year, and I got to hunt parts of my farm I've never hunted.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's places you just can't get a
And
tree.
there's nothing to it. It's so light and it's so comfortable. And he was showing us different things with it. And he's like, man, especially even for filming, he's like, if you have a Novix or whatever brand stand you have, he said, if you throw one stand in the tree where, someone's hunting can be, sit in a stand if that's what they want to do. He said, you just take your, saddle.
Sit right up above them.
Yeah, sit right up above them. He's like, stand on the seat, hang it up, and swing to the side of the tree.
When it takes 5 minutes to set up, 5 minutes to tear down. Once you get, it's a pain starting out. Once you start doing it, you're like, I don't know about this. But it just takes some learning. Then once you get it down, it's like brushing your teeth every morning.
Yeah,
I feel like some of that too is you hang a set and takes you 30 minutes, 45 an hour sometimes, and by the time you
it feels unsafe doing it too half the time, like trying to get it up in the tree.
And then how many times have you hung a set and your deer are walking by you at 80 yards?
Yeah,
and you're like, man, now we have to tear this whole thing down, move it 80 yards.
Or you hang a set and never hunt it.
Yeah, or that.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you hang it and you get busted one time out of there, and you got to rip it down and move it 50 yards.
Exactly.
Think of the money we've spent over the years just saying, well, we got to stand there, but man, it would be nice to have one. Let's put one 60 yards over the ridge this way a little bit, and you go buy $100 worth of sticks at the cheapest. $100 worth of sticks and $100 and some dollars per stand to be uncomfortable.
Safety ropes. I mean, it gets expensive. I don't know how many stands we put.
Fuck that! I'm buying a saddle.
I don't know how many stands we put in a tree just to say, well, we might hunt it this year, but like. There's a chance we can hunt it, but we want that stand there to be able to have the option to hunt it.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, like you said, you got 20 stands on a farm.
And it gets hunted once, maybe every 4 years.
No, it's great. And you're sitting in a saddle and, you're looking forwards, where the tree's in front of you, and you can see everything on the other side of the tree.
Yeah, I mean, you're just on a big swivel.
And in fact, if anything, you prefer the deer to come up behind you because you can just turn right around, and it's one of the smoothest, shots you could ever take.
You remember when we were walking in for Deuce, I was like, fuck, it'd be nice to sit over here.
Oh, yeah, because,
And had we have sat over there, we would have seen him and got video of him coming into the food plot.
Yeah, I mean, we still would have killed him, but yeah, like you said,
he would have seen you guys.
If it would have been nice to be like, okay, well, the wind was awful. I mean, this is a side story, but the wind was awful whenever I killed Deuce and me and Spencer were up there, and he was like, well, we need to be in this tree right here, and it's like, all right, well, we don't have sticks in a stand, so we're sitting in the redneck. Yeah. But yeah, had we had saddles, we probably would have been in the tree.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, when you're hunting a food source like that, obviously your wind's changing all the time. Are you going to have 4 stands on the same food plot just to hunt, I mean, it just gets...
I can shoot to that one, I can shoot to
that exactly,
Yeah.
So just being able to move and getting a new tree, and like you said, if you do get busted,
new tree,
you have a permanent stand there. They're going to look there every single time.
Yep.
So, but yeah, anyways, hunted him hard that first week in November there, and Connor was actually out of town, so I was having to self-film, and that's rough.
Yeah.
To all those people that self-film, props to them, because that's some work, especially whenever you are hunting out of a saddle, because then you got sticks, platform, camera arm, bow, camera.
So many moving
and
parts.
It's like next thing you know, I mean, yeah, that takes your 5-minute setup to a 25-minute setup. But deer like that, you have to capture that on film, you know, and that's why. Props to Connor. Connor stuck it out with me. We ended up killing him on the 39th sit. I mean,
wow.
he gave up his hunting season, you know, just to come film me, but it changed both of our lives and our outlooks on all of it. I mean, that experience is just you can't describe it.
Unmatched.
Yeah. But anyways, Connor gets home from his big trip there, and it'll be Friday the 10th, getting pictures of him. So I know he's in there. Have the section of the farm. All right, that's where he is. So, and my farm has a highway on the back side of it. So, and I don't have a gate over there or nothing. But I said, let's access it from that side because I think he's over here. And that morning, I'm going to pull off in the road ditch. See a deer in the middle of the road. Headlights hit it. Guess who it is? Me and Connor, I just go, holy crap. And Connor doesn't say a word. Neither say a word. He's just standing there, middle of the road.
Broad daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Just stand there, middle of the road. And I mean, watch him for like 15 seconds.
I would have said, speed this truck up.
Yeah. my uncle's like, you know, I'm your insurance agent, right? Like,
Yeah.
we covered that. I was like, we were just in shock. I mean, you see those drop tines in the headlights. It's like, and I'll never forget. Connor and I we didn't say a word to each other. He had his camera sitting in his lap. Didn't video. I could have videoed with my phone. We were just so in awe, like, holy cow, this deer's real.
Yeah, there he is.
Because that was the first time we ever laid eyes on him. And so he just walks down the ditch, hops the fence back onto our place. And I'm like, well,
he's in there.
We are not going in from this side now. So we ended up, we still wanted to sit the same tree. We just drove to the other side of the farm, came in like we always do. And it was cold. It was like mid-20s, upper 20s, crisp, not a stitch of wind. And so basically we were set up kind of in a transition spot between two food plots. And daylight's just breaking. It's cold, calm. You know, you can tell it's going to be a good morning. And as soon as you could see, I looked over. We were sitting 150 yards from one of these plots. You can see the lower end of it. I see a deer. Throw up my binos. You mean like that? You can tell. I said, dude, there he is.
Oh, my.
Instantly, just the whole tree starts shaking, you know. I'm like, he's there. And this is, an hour after we just saw him in the middle of the road, you know. So he's just out feeding in this food plot, you know, just big chilling. Pick his head up, look around every once in a while. And like I said, just the anticipation. There's so much anticipation into that moment right there because like I said, that was 36, 37 sits right there.
Yeah, you're a year and a half into the chase of him.
Oh, yeah, that too.
It's all led up to right.
And was he feeding your way?
He started, he was there for a little bit. So basically there's a creek between him and I, and he starts feeding up kind of away from us. And so I'm like, I was running a can call because it was so calm. I figured he'd be able to see it or be able to hear it, but he never could hear it. So anyways, he changes his direction, starts going away. I'm like, okay, pull out the grunt call, brap, brap, twice. Stops, throws his head up and looks. You know, that's that moment. You're like, please come on.
Yeah, that's the deciding moment.
Yeah, because he's right there. It's like
other.
it's easy. It's either going to work or
Please don't see this tree shaking.
Yeah, turned his whole body and here he comes. I'll never forget it. It's like this is going to happen. And we were sitting over this road. Road's 30 yards. That's how we dreamed it up. That's exactly what we wanted to happen. And here he comes. I'm like, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
But yeah, Connor's like, you know what your pin's on, this and that, like trying to calm me down. Like, there's no calming me down at this point.
No.
I'm shaking like a leaf. He's shaking like a leaf. We're just kind of like.
The video, it's pretty awesome to watch you guys.
And it's like, this is really going to happen.
Yeah.
Here it is. And it was so calm that morning. He ends up getting, he's at 30 yards and he's walking at me. And I got to draw at some point. So, and I don't have a whole lot of cover in front of me either. And like I said, it was dead calm. So I start easing my bow back. He sticks his head down for just half a second. Of course, brings it right back up. But at that point, you're a quarter way through your draw cycle. So I just slowly as I could, and I get it right back to my ear. There he catches me. He stops. And I'm like, instantly panic. You know, I'm like, I got to get a shot off now. Yeah. He's going to blow. And looking back, I probably had a lot more time than I did. I rushed everything a little bit. That deer ends up dropping a ton. I didn't play any drop. You know, it's 29 yards. I should have shot him for probably 23, 24 yards. Yep. And I shoot, I instantly know I miss him, you know. I skipped it off his back. In the video, you can hear like 2 ticks. Yeah. It grazes the top of his back and then hits the creek. And then you watch him run off. And you're just like,
yeah,
so one of the worst feelings in the world.
Yeah, I know what that feels like.
Yeah, I was going to say, take us through the emotion, like all the time put into it, and then that happens.
Yeah, you get to that point and you're just like, it doesn't seem real in the moment, you know. You're like, oh my gosh. And all I could say was, I'm sorry, Connor. Because that, I mean... Oh. I don't even know. I mean, if I was him at that point, I'd have tore my stuff down and said, good luck the rest of the year, you know. I'd just sick. Because, I mean, you don't get to shoot a deer like that.
No.
Ever.
No.
And, you know, whenever he ran off, I mean, he had to duck, move his head around just to get around these trees. And it was like, he goes up on the top of the hill, he snorts, blows once, you know. And that was like the icing on the cake. I was like.
And then he's out of your lives again.
Yeah. And then, so, I mean, just absolutely exhausted at this point. I was like, well, it's a rut. He's got one thing on his mind.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I told Connor, I was like, you know, he's probably already forgot about it. So we go back out that afternoon, you know, and it's like he says in the video, you start all over again.
Yeah.
It's like, gosh, we have to do this again. So.
Yeah, you're back to square one.
And that's the day before Missouri rifle season. That was my other thing. I'm like, you know, everybody and their brother's going to be out here tomorrow hunting. Yeah. My whole family's going to be out there. It's just one of the worst feelings ever.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you couldn't have dreamt it up any better than what it was. It was the the opportunity you asked for. You know, after all this time, you got your daylight sighting of him and grunt at him, and here he comes. You couldn't ask for any better footage.
Literally picture perfect.
And you're saying the next day, like the whole family hunts the farm?
Yeah.
So how many orange vests are out there the next day?
5 of us.
And all of them know about this deer?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And you're talking 220 acres, you know. Not a huge farm. I mean, we got this farm covered.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
And so.
Oh, man. That'd be rough.
Connor and I, so we get next morning, opening day, we get in over the big food plot that he daylighted in 2 previous days before. I had pictures of him there. And we got in there like stupid early, like 2 hours before daylight. Just because you're going to bust deer walking into the plot at night. I remember sitting there. We were getting pictures of him 150 yards away. Hour before daylight.
Oh, my God.
I'm just like, oh, my gosh.
Oh, you're rubbing your hands together at this point.
Yeah, I'm like, where is the sun? Yeah. So, anyways, long story short.
Get your flashlight.
Yeah. He ends up working off, and I no telling where he worked off to, but you're sitting there open in the morning, go woom. Every shot that you hear is close, you know.
Oh, dude,
he's dead.
That's the worst feeling ever.
And I haven't slept at this point, you know. I mean, you're talking a day later. I didn't sleep Friday night.
Oh, I bet not.
My parents were worried about me. They thought I was depressed, and kind of was. But yeah, I haven't slept, and then you're sitting there and you're listening to all these gunshots go off. Kapow, kapow. And you're like, yep, he's dead. You know? Somebody's going to kill him. Because, I mean, just with him being as daylight active as he was for that last three days, whatever it was, somebody was going to kill him.
Yeah.
So we hunt all Saturday. Tall handful of deer, you know, just not him. Because, I mean, that was the only deer I was going to shoot. And one of my uncles ended up killing one of our management bucks, a good cold buck. And they're from Kansas City, you know, so they they usually come down. They'll hunt opening weekend, go home. Yeah. And so we hunt Sunday morning again. I got pictures of him going back to that bed, and so I played it safe. We hunted, I don't know, probably 4.
So after hunting that day, you got another picture of him.
Yeah. So I got a picture of him. Right, it had been like Sunday morning, so I'm like, okay, he's still alive. Yeah. Still alive, you know.
I can only imagine what that felt like.
Yeah. I mean, you're just checking. Tell me you're alive. And he did. And I was like, well, he's still in there. Well, there's no reason that you can't see him again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we sat in one of my favorite spots Sunday morning, and it was kind of along the way to where he went to bed. It was in between beds, really. And so it's a good spot to catch deer cruising back and forth and see a handful of deer that morning. Like I said, we're exhausted at this point. Neither of us slept. I mean, still hearing gunshots everywhere. Still is sitting there like, is he still alive? So, and that Sunday, it got up to like 60 degrees. I don't know if you guys remember that second day rifle. It got stupid warm.
Yep.
And so after our morning hunt, we went back, took a nap, finally actually slept a little bit. We walk out, 60 degrees. I'm like, I don't even want to go at this point, It's not going to happen. We get to this plot at 3:20-ish, which is real close. It was the plot closest to where he's bedding. And we hadn't sat there 5 minutes, can hear a deer walking. I'm like, well. He's like, you hear that deer? I'm like, yeah, I hear that deer. It's just a forked horn or something, It's 3:30 in the afternoon and 60 degrees. And finally, I mean, we hear this deer walking for like 10 minutes. And finally, I'm like, we ought to be able to see this deer. I look down, I start to see the legs of the deer. As soon as I see the legs, I look up, there's a drop tine. I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, it's him. I was like, what? I said, dude, it is him. And he's at 25 yards. And we have a big cedar tree between us. And so we were setting up in this double man stand. It's funny. We didn't even bring our backpacks or nothing. We were so done at this point. I have a grunt call around my neck. I look like your traditional firearm hunter, Not even wearing camo pants. I'm wearing like gray pants. I'm just like,
I'm done with this.
At this point, And here he comes, and so he starts walking directly at us. And this, like I said, this big cedar tree's right between us, and he hits out in the food plot, and starts eating. I mean, the way he comes, he's going to come right underneath the tree. And so I have to stand there and watch him for probably 6 or 7 minutes.
Oh my.
Before Connor can even get any video of him. I'm like, I stood up because I had to shoot over the rail. I mean, he's that close. I'm shooting down over the rail. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, dude, you need to tell me whenever you can see him.
Yeah.
Because I can't take this much longer.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, he ends up feeding right there in front of us, and finally, I can't take it anymore. I'm like, dude, can you see him or not? He's like, yeah, it's good. Yeah, I can see him. It's just fine. I said, okay, next time he picks his head up, I'm shooting him. And there he is, throws his head up like just right on cue. Go, boom. Runs right underneath the tree stand, dies 10 yards back behind us.
Oh, my.
And I mean, just that whole, I don't know how that tree stand stayed up in the tree. We were hugging and shaking the video. All you can see in the video is it just shaking back and forth. I mean, just amped up, like it happened. And I've heard a lot of people talk about big deer, and you get tired of hunting them and stuff, and they describe them like a ghost, and that's the realest thing I've ever heard, because it's like you don't feel like they're real, and then poof.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're right there in front of you. But just staying after them, that's the reason we killed him. I mean, we hunted our tails off and hunted smart too.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. My mom and dad were sitting 200 yards back behind me.
So they knew when you shot it was.
Yeah. Anybody that was sitting within a mile knew. I mean, I was hooping and hollering. I ruined the rest of their hunts. I didn't care at the moment.
Yeah.
And it was cool. My mom and dad ended up getting out of their stand
and walking down.
Got to see the whole.
Yeah.
All that unfold right there. And it was just cool. Instantly I send out a picture on Snapchat, and it was like.
It was extremely quick as fast as that deer got around. Because I don't know if we were sent a picture of it or what the first picture of it we seen was, but I know it went around really quick because I had like 4 or 5 people that were sending us pictures, and we're like, did you see this deer killed?
It spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
And sent some snaps out to my buddies, called my grandparents. They're the ones who own the farm. I said, hey, get down here. Both my grandparents came down, a couple buddies. And as soon as I got done making those phone calls, I shut my phone off, put it in the truck.
Oh.
And just soaked it in.
99 notifications.
Yeah. You open your phone back up, I was like, holy. But I was glad I did that. A lot of people just get on their phone. Like, I'm not going to get to do that. Yeah. If I get to do that again in my lifetime, be lucky.
Especially, like you said, the area that you killed it in, Kurt Geyer talks about it a lot, soaking in the moment and not, something they do. They don't ever go to social media until they always say like beer time. So they'll get the deer, whatever, out of the field, back in home, they're cleaning it. And as soon as they get a beer in their hand, they're like, okay, then I'll get on my phone.
Yeah.
And having your whole family there to share the moment and everything with you.
Awesome. I mean, it's just the way you dream it up. The way you dream it up. But
it had to be like the earth lifted off your back whenever you...
Dude, that was the thing. It was just like, whenever I first saw him step out, I wasn't nervous. I was relieved. Because I'm like, he's dead, you know?
Yeah. I
got a rifle. He's at 25 yards. He's not getting out of here.
Yeah.
It was straight relief. So...
And that's the true, you know, cat and mouse game, or highest of highs, or lowest of lows to highest of highs. Deer hunting is so weird the way it happens sometimes. You know, you went from, you know, you missed him with the bow to, you know, fuck this, we're pretty well done. We're hunting in, you know, we're hunting in gray sweatpants or whatever, you know, whatever you're sitting in, and then just like that,
it all changes. But 2 days that was all in a 3-day span. God knew I couldn't go any longer.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was bad. I mean, I was moping around the house. You know, everybody's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm not okay." I just missed a 200-inch deer.
I'm just imagining you in that moment if you shot and the gun just went
click,
pulled a land, click.
I probably would have quit.
Yeah, especially how close he was. I mean, he would have heard it. I would imagine, right? Yeah.
I mean, literally 5-6 yards.
Yeah, he would have heard that.
That's the coolest thing. And throughout the whole video, like the way you're watching it, it's all leading up, and you know, it's almost leading up to a point where you're like, oh man, like they're gonna shoot the deer, you know, this super cool way, which it was. But it's funny in the video, you know, it's all leading up, and then you see him sitting in a cedar tree at like 5 yards, and you're like, oh, what the hell? Like, how'd it get to here?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad your depression only lasted 3 days, because mine is gonna go on to next season.
Terminal.
You're not so lucky. But I mean, that's a crazy thing about it. You just never know. 60 degrees.
Yeah.
And after I missed him, you know, you're never gonna get that deer that close again. 29 yards. I'm like, he's never gonna get that close. And then to shoot him at 5 yards, it just goes to show you just don't know.
No, you never.
And what'd you call the deer? I guess
Droppy.
Yeah, you called him Droppy.
Yep. He showed up, and I was like, yep, that's Droppy.
So just for, you know, the listener, not obviously they can see the pictures and stuff, but just describe him a little bit, like when you walked up to him, what he looked like, and you know how neat he actually was.
So I mean, how I have him propped up right there. Well, he was laid back. His head was back, and that flyer off the back had his whole head off the ground.
Oh my!
And he just that flyer's like holding him up, and it's just like he's like looking at me. I'm just like, oh my gosh! And I would go up there, and I would basically hug the deer. I mean, I'm just like,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Was literally speechless. As soon as I grabbed a hold of him, I can usually talk in front of a camera and come up with something.
Yeah.
I grabbed him, and I was just like, I literally don't even know what to say.
Yeah, what can you say? Like after them events unfold, it would be hard to say.
All I could do is thank Connor, and I was like, I don't know what to say. Just an absolute monarch. I mean,
yeah.
And that's something I've dreamed of that as a kid. Like I said, you know, grew up hunting. I mean, you always dream of killing a 200-inch deer.
I'm still dreaming of it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
All dreaming.
Everybody dreams about killing a 200-inch deer, and everybody's like, you know, that'll be the biggest deer you ever kill in your life. I'm like,
and especially with the character.
It might be. That deer.
Yeah,
but that's the thing, though. You don't know. If you'd have asked me if I'd have killed that deer, you know, no, I'm never gonna kill a deer that big.
Yeah.
Not where I live. But it just goes to show you how quick it can happen.
Yeah, especially the work that you guys put in. I'm not going to say it's not impossible for you to do it again. You know, in the area that you're in with the, you know, the quality of work that you guys are doing down there, I can see it.
I'm excited because
you got to believe.
Yeah. And you got to bet on the deer too. And now people are like, oh, you don't have to hunt the rest of your life. I'm like.
Yeah,
way more obsessed now.
They pretty much said you're done.
You
just ruined yourself.
You've topped. I'm like, no.
That just sparked it off.
Yeah,
and, you know,
that's
you're ready to roll again.
That's the craziest thing, because I feel like everybody who kills a 200-incher says that. Like you would think after you killed it, you'd be like, yeah, you know, where do I go from here? But everyone who does, they all say, I got more obsessed. Like my drive to kill. The drive to kill one either as big or bigger is like so much higher now that, you know.
Oh yeah.
I just feel like a mature deer in general. I mean, I'm sure if you turn around and you kill another 150-inch deer next year,
I'll be tickled.
Yeah. And get just as nervous.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what it comes down to anymore. It's like, I want to see what deer can do now. I was a king of killing a 3.5-year-old.
We were,
Hell
you know,
yeah,
if that
so was I.
3.5-year-old 130-inch deer. I mean, I killed my fair share of them. And finally, you know, you get to the point where you're like, let's get to the next step. You know, you keep growing. But that'll change you right there. A 200-inch deer is just like, it just makes you want to find big deer.
Yeah.
And makes you want to hunt big deer, grow big deer. And it's kind of cool because everybody, all my family, you know, everybody's on the same page. We all want big deer. Now we know we can grow big deer. We're passing 140-inch 3.5-year-olds. You know,
Nice.
That's a giant step in killing big deer. Is passing, like
Passing good deer to
kill
kill great deer.
Yeah, exactly. And after looking at him and holding him up to some of my deer on the wall, that I'm still proud of him. But I'm like, dude, if I'd have gave that deer
Yep.
1-2 more years, yeah, exactly.
I got a couple deer on my wall, and when me and him were younger, it's the same thing. Every 3-year-old looked, and they look big on hoof, but
Yeah, you get up to him, you're like,
we'd shoot them and be happy as heck, and I'm still happy and proud of them. But it got to the point where you just wanted
you want more.
Yeah, you want that, and not every deer is going to be a 200-incher. I mean, shoot a 120-inch 5 or 6-year-old and be happy as hell. But
Oh yeah, hell, look at the deer I shot. This year, January 1st. I was to say I shot a management deer that was no bigger than
and its
110
teeth were
inches.
falling out whenever they got the jaw. They thinking 6.5 plus.
Wow. Yeah.
But not every deer has the potential to be a giant deer. But just being able to know that that's a mature deer and harvest that deer, and that's key in growing a big deer at some point.
Yeah, exactly. It's like my brother this year. He killed a 6.5-year-old off our farm. I've had pictures of that deer since 2018. He's 130-inch 10-pointer.
Yep.
That's all he's ever been. But he's a mature deer.
And what a lot of
one that
people-
we wanted to kill, you know, and
Gotta be
there's
proud
still,
of it.
There's still a story with that there too, you know, all the history and sheds.
And deer don't really know what they got on their head. I mean, they don't have a mirror to look in unless they're drinking water out of a pond or something. They're looking, you know, they don't know that, hey, my horns are bigger than yours. It's just age over, and, you know, I'm a mature deer, and I'm coming for you if you're. And a lot of them, like you said, 130-inch 10 will run off a 150-inch 3 or 4-year-old just
Just because they're mature.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's like Addie's deer this year. You know, she shot a 5.5-year-old 8-point, and we scored him at like 128 and 6/8. And every year prior, he would end up just having main beams because he was just he would fight every
Yeah,
game.
just a fighter.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I can't believe about the deer I killed this year. How did he not break any of that off?
Yeah.
But I would assume if he bristled up to anybody, I mean, who's gonna mess with that?
Yeah,
You know, there wasn't a deer
absolutely.
close to him.
No. And that would have been my luck. He'd have busted off all his drops, and then,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know how he kept from doing it. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. He's just so big.
I will say, I mean, there's a lot of big deer killed these days, but the character and the drops that deer has is you won't see
No, never again. I mean, that,
hardly anyone, you know, kill something like that. That's unbelievable how he's, as much as we've hunted and run cameras from I mean, I have cameras from Iowa, Kansas, here, never had a deer with a drop time.
yeah, no. That's everybody's like,
Especially like that. Like
you just don't see it.
we compared him pre-podcast to Kimbo that Lee killed. His one side, he's got the weirdest, like he's got two big drops, but his flyer off the two is literally bigger than the G2 itself.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Kimbo's is up here though, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
Kimbo's a
up
little
higher.
different,
little
but
bit higher, but it's very
he's
similar.
he's
the
got
whole
that
right side is.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got that Kimbo look to him, just insane. And I like when they get the drops on them like that, and they hold the velvet, and it gets real dark.
Yeah,
It's
it just dries on there. It's cool, and then, I mean, it's just peeling off. There, like you said, there's so much character. There's velvet peeling off. You got acorn tips, split brow. I mean, he got bladed too. I mean, you can't ask for anything.
Yeah,
more.
he's everything you could ask for
Yeah.
in a 200-inch whitetail.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Very cool. Very cool. No, that's definitely one hell of a story, and the video, like I said, is just as impressive. And Connor did a hell of a job on it. I wish he could have made it, but
What was your biggest deer prior to that?
that I'd killed
Yeah.
mid-50s.
Okay.
I killed a 12-pointer. It was like 154,
Wow.
and I killed him whenever I was 12 years old.
Oh wow.
so
Yeah.
what
Jeez.
what did he tape out at?
I taped him out at 206. I went to the ATA last week, and they netted him at 190. So I don't have the gross score on that, but he's gonna be
he's gonna
be yeah. I had 8 or 9 buddies score him. It's anywhere from 202 to 208.
Yeah,
is what we got. But I mean, with that many measurements, you know,
yeah,
depending on where you start, people are gonna get off.
Yeah, I was
quarter inch adds up pretty quick.
Yep.
So
regardless of score, he's
as long as you start with a 2.
Yeah. So, but nets
the rest is fine.
Like most of the hunting world says, nets are for fish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you should have shot him with a bow.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Oh, shit.
Heard plenty about that.
It was second day
you
rifle
tried.
season, wasn't it?
Second day rifle, yeah.
Just bring a bow next time.
When
Let me
did
haul a
you
rifle.
kill? You killed your deer opening morning.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Because you killed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you guys called me. I was freezing my ass off in a little holler, and that bit of news warmed me up a little bit, and then I decided to leave. I wasn't seeing shit.
Social media is always so funny in Missouri rifle season because you see them quick on. You know, people are quick to post nowadays. So we sit there a lot of times, whatever in the tree or even in the camper, hotel room, whatever afterwards, and just. You can refresh it and you start seeing the deer people killed. And I know I seen that deer pop up really quick. And
and that was the thing. I sent him out, so, I mean, screenshotting everywhere. People, it's getting sent around like quick. I'm like, Connor, we got to get some pictures tonight. Like, got to get this put out there because somebody else is just going to put it out there and it ain't going to be me, and
Photoshop.
Yeah. But
well, the best thing was you killed him with enough daylight. You guys had all kinds of time.
Oh yeah, that was part of the story I didn't mention. We got in there at 3:30.
Yeah.
Or 3:15. Killed him at 3:44. We sat there 30 minutes. That was the first and only deer we saw.
It's interesting you say that. I think I've heard it happen several times of whether the deer's like close enough and it can't really see, but if it hears, a lot of times I think deer kind of can hear that walking. Like we've had it up in Kirksville before. They'll hear you walking into the stand and it's almost like, okay, well, it's rut and they hear that like, oh, there must be a deer over here. And it's like they come over to investigate. I wonder if part of it was, he just maybe heard you guys kind of rustling in and was like, oh, must be, might be a deer over here and here he comes.
Yeah, it makes you wonder because there's no reason. And it's not even like, he wasn't even that rutted up really.
Yeah.
I mean, I had some pictures of him chasing some does, but I mean, he's just out there eating. That was all he's doing.
Man, it seems like the more and more you look at it too, a lot of the deer that get big like that are just loners. They just like to kind of be by themselves. They don't like to fight. They just like to, even big sheds you pick up, call it, 180, 190 inch sheds. Most of them, it seems like they don't break up. They're just they're loners. They like to be by themselves.
The deer that I killed this year was a lot like the story of Droppy, other than he was 200 inches and mine was not. But kind of the same thing. We've had pictures of him for three plus years and had 2 encounters with him. Yeah. And it was just, me and Brady, it was kind of funny. You were talking earlier, you heard the deer walk and I was like, oh, it's not him. We were sitting there and Brady was like, hey, you hear that deer walking? I was like, opening morning, and starting to hear some gunshots and our neighbors shooting like 2 boxes of shells over there. And it's like, someone's killing them or whatever. And it's like, dang, you hear that walking, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, well, there's this deer. And then Brady's like, it's him. And I was like, what? What?
Yeah, only deer we seen that morning. First deer we seen.
Yeah, it goes back to there's like ghosts.
Yeah.
I didn't give him time to get the camera on it though.
I
just like, are you boom?
Yeah, you could hear it. I could just hear him coming up the hill, and I'm like, oh, it's 100% a deer. I'm like, you could hear by the sound. I'm like, hell, we should see him in, 10 seconds. Get the camera out of the bag. We didn't have the tree arm had the second angle.
The second angle.
And I was just going to hand film. The 70 to 200's got a good image stabilization in it. And flip it out, turn it on. And I'm like, I just look up from the camera. I'm like, yep, it's him. I go to hit record. Boom! And I'm like, all right.
I think Connor would have killed me if I did that to him.
I said, okay. And then he looks over. The camera above him was rolling, so you can see the the 15 millimeter lens on it. It's just big, wide, and Landon's all in focus, and it just looks really good. And you just see him come up out of the hole at like, I don't know what, 50 yards or 60 yards.
Very far.
Yeah, you just see him come up out, and he's like, you hear me go, okay, I'm almost ready. Boom! And I'm like, okay. And then he looks at me, and he goes, well, sorry, what, which, it is, in his defense, you get pictures of deer for that long, and he came through a little window. I mean, we didn't know what he was going to do.
We were in the big
like
timber,
that.
and it's some steep draws and stuff, and he was cruising. I mean, I definitely probably could have waited, but I had like a 3-foot window, and he just happened. I threw the gun up, landed right on him, and like there he was. And then he was going to get into some really thick stuff, and
we just took the opportunity.
Went anywhere. And
you can't pass up deer like that. Like, camera saves a lot of deer.
Yeah.
Deer. There's certain deer that it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
no,
you gotta you gotta get them killed.
And we don't make money doing it. So when it comes down to it,
you hunt all year for it.
Yeah,
you're not. That's your opportunity.
That's what we're there for. Right?
The camera's not going to save him.
No, and in 4 years of history that we've had of him, we literally had 2 encounters, and one was the previous week.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Crazy.
pretty well the
very
same.
Very similar.
The week before saw him, and then killed him, and I did have quite a few daylight pictures of him, but it was rarely. It was mainly a few in the like velvet, and then like November. And other than that, he was unless it got extremely cold, which I gained my favorite part of the season is late season. Like you were saying with food,
sure.
if you have a good food source and close bedding, it's some of the best.
It's awesome.
Hunting.
I mean, just the deer numbers that you see, and you see mature deer.
Yep.
I mean, we set later December, and I had a couple deer that I wouldn't mind killing. They were just right on the verge, in between. Give them another year, shoot them, and we'd see them every sit. That's fun. Whenever you can go out there and see a mature buck every sit.
We're betting pretty good odds here in the last couple of years. We've really honed in on a lot of farms, and we don't hardly sit anymore without seeing, a shooter or a mature deer. Which I guess mature deer for us is a shooter, but we don't hardly go out and sit anymore without having a really good chance at.
I wouldn't necessarily
seeing
say like a shooter or a mature deer, but quality bucks.
Well,
we're not going out.
That's
and
a better
seeing,
word for it.
We're not going out and seeing spikes and does. I mean, you're seeing there's a stud 3-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
You're seeing nice
deer that whenever they come out, you're like, who's that?
Yeah.
Get you a little bit excited.
And I love seeing 2s, 3-year-olds even just to build that history, get video, watch them.
Yeah.
And
that's what I was going to say. This was the first year that I was hunting one specific deer. I started out hunting the 9-pointer. Then until he left, I hunted 2 deer this year, but that's where my tag was going to go.
Yeah.
And like that 6.5-year-old my brother shot. I had him at 10 yards, second week of bow season. I've been trying to kill that deer for like 5 years.
yeah.
To watch him there, 10 yards and not shoot him. It's like, man.
Connor, take over.
Yeah. It makes you wonder. But that's how you build that relationship with one deer, and that's what makes it so rewarding.
But a deer like that, I mean, it's all or nothing.
Oh, yeah.
You're either going
to
put your tag around him or you're not killing him.
Exactly.
It'll sharpen your skills too, man. You talk about wanting to get better at deer hunting. Pick out one deer and only target that deer for the year. It'll sharpen you up real quick.
Oh, it is. It's exhausting too.
Yeah.
Because it's like, every deer's different. It's like, I have 2 deer. We see them every sit. It's like,
yeah,
I'd kill that deer every single day.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting to me. I've had cameras far enough apart before that some deer are homebodies. I've get pictures of them on the regular, and it's like they don't leave the farm. And I've also had summer pictures of deer, and like 2 miles away the same day. It's like, what are we doing in the summer moving this far already, Yeah. And we have the, crop, water, cover, everything. It's just like some deer just do. And you'll see
doing deer things.
Yeah. Even, your guys that, your the Drurys, the Lindsays, all them. I mean, they put an absurd amount of food and stuff out every year, but they always say they'll still have deer that up and leave.
Well, it's just like him. I mean, he'd leave.
Yeah.
He left and then show back up. But why leave?
Yeah.
Because like you said, food, cover, water, it's all there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hunting smart, not pressuring it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, why?
There wasn't any reason. But also, you know, all the gun hunters around, I feel like that's partly why he was on our farm. Because there wasn't, I mean, opening day, we have pressure out there.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. But for the most part of gun season, there's me, my dad, and my brother. That is it. And like I said, I mean, we access it pretty smart. We don't blow very many deer out of there.
Yeah. That's a big factor, too. That's we've taken a lot of that into consideration and learned a lot from that. Is it's not just, you know, if that deer's showing up, yeah, everyone, I mean, we want to go hunt. But if the weather's not right, the wind's not right, you're doing more harm than good going,
Yeah,
going in.
100%. Yeah, just being smart about it changes. And it changes the way your deer act,
Yep.
you know.
That's another thing we were talking about them saddles earlier. That's nice too. You know, you set a stand up. Well, if the wind's not right to set the stand,
You sit the other side of the field. If
yeah,
you want.
you ain't hunting, but you can literally take your saddle.
Oh yeah, you can take your diaper and go to the other side of the field.
Yeah, literally. I mean, you can always hunt, no matter what wind you have. You know, I mean,
I'm gonna
It's
kill
just
a deer
cool.
out of a saddle next year. Actually, I probably won't. I shit talk him so much. I probably miss one.
I would recommend practicing out of one though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's comfy, but when you get up there and shoot, it's definitely different.
Yeah, that's what Tristan was saying. He was saying make sure you get up and practice, and he said, you know, make sure you shoot out of it a lot. And really, for I guess the first year, I'd like to just film out of one, just to get good at setting it up, and you know, the versatility of filming, like you said, I think would be ideal.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have any blind spots. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
you can film 360. You can lean around the tree. You can turn around. I mean,
I was asking him about sleeping in them too. I'm like, how? And Cruiser's got that back. They got the back strap that you can put on, and he's like, man, he's like, just lay your arms like this and just. He said, he said, you're out.
and they've came up with like a knee pad. You know, like a
Yeah.
lot of times I'll lean my knees up on the tree, just lean back. I mean, they're just comfy. They're and just a game changer.
They were very, very comfy. We're
Yeah.
definitely gonna.
But I was like
Check
you
into
guys. I
it.
mean, I've always hunted out of a tree stand my whole life.
Yeah.
I always see people in saddles. I'm like, I mean,
Did you ever?
that's cool,
have,
but it seems like a lot of work.
Did you ever have the big Summit climbers?
Oh yeah,
The big like 25-pound
yes.
ones, and you.
I have hauled some climbers in, and I still have buddies that hunt out of climbers. And I'm like,
Really?
"Dude, get a saddle.
Yeah.
Get a saddle. You'll never touch a climber again. I don't care if you have the highest dollar
Yeah.
climber.
No.
It's a pain. They're loud. I mean,
They are very
Clink,
loud.
clink, clink.
yeah, all the way
Every
up the
step.
tree. All the way up.
Even walking in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, they keep. I know, like I don't know, it's Latitude or one of them. They got them hyperlight sticks, and you know they
Oh,
keep coming up with ways to to stack them, and literally like you can get everything under like 5 pounds.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's silly.
It's insane.
But Cruiser's got that backpack made for the saddle too.
Yeah.
If you're
Yep.
going to buy their saddle, you might as well get their pack because
Yeah.
it's perfect. It holds your sticks, your platform, all your gear.
Yeah.
It's very convenient. It's a good made pack.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Cruiser really because, I mean, we at ATA, I mean, they had Tethered there, Latitude, you name the saddle company, they had them there, and I didn't sit in any of the rest of them, but I know whenever I sat in the Cruiser saddles, I was like, yeah, I don't really need to sit in another one.
And
Like,
the price point of Cruiser saddles versus all the others is
yeah, all American made.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure. I mean, right there in Tennessee.
yeah,
They're coming out with some sticks here soon too.
Are they?
They've been finalizing some
sweet.
stuff with that. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to get some of those.
Yeah, definitely a company to check out because they checked all the boxes as far as American made and like quality goes. So yeah, for sure, if someone's looking to get a saddle, I'd go that way. But other than that, man, we can't thank you enough for coming in and especially bringing the skull plate of him in because he's a specimen. And if you want to give any shout out or shameless plugs, where people can find you or your business, I guess, shout them out.
Yeah, McBride Land Solutions. We do everything dirt work wise, driveways, land clearing. Been starting to get into food plot stuff as well. Done a lot of work with Grant Woods.
Really?
Down in Branson, yeah. I spent a couple weeks working down at his farm.
pretty cool.
the proving ground.
Yeah, at the proving grounds. Yes,
I
sir.
grew up watching some of that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and learned just a lot from him. So, and we've been implementing a lot of his tactics in on our farm. He's been down to our farm, looked it over.
Very cool.
So anything like that, and then But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, and it's nice to finally meet you guys. We've been talking for a while, and hopefully we'll get together before long and do something. So
yeah, hopefully so. And then I guess one last thing, you also killed a transmitter goose this year, didn't you?
we did. We did.
Just to cap off the end of the year.
Yeah, what a
I mean,
year.
went to I had a year I'll probably never beat. Went to Canada. We killed over 1,000 birds in 7 days.
Wow.
Had an awesome turkey season. I mean, yeah, 23 would be hard to beat. It was. I'm very blessed for sure. So
yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to have you back on, talk a little goose hunting, a little turkey hunting here before long, and yeah, definitely. Everyone, you can go check out the video on the road. Yep, check that out. Shout out to Connor, man, awesome. We'll have to meet him, but
yeah, we'll have to get Connor up here.
Yeah.
Connor's the man.
We could geek out on some camera gear, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I could definitely learn something from him. But, yeah, check out the video. Hell of a deer. Congratulations on this season.
Congrats, man.
Thank you, guys.
Honestly.
This was fun, though.
It's I mean, in pictures, the pictures you guys took are unbelievable, but seeing it in person is pretty special.
It seems silly to say pictures don't do that deer justice.
No.
But they don't.
No, not at all. But... all right. Well, I think you got a goose hunt lined up for tonight, so we'll go ahead and get you out here. We appreciate everybody listening. Don't forget, wrap your tag around the main beam.